Welcome to the 2021 Australian Petanque Nationals Open Triples Final Principale.
This should be a really cracking game with two teams of younger players, teams with lots of experience. The team known as Team Cliff are the holders, and two of their members, for them, it's the third final. With the other team, the red team as we'll call them, they also have a great deal of experience, with one of their players, May Ratana, being a Cambodian international, and the other two, Nuvish and Freddie, playing for Australia. So a lot of experience despite being two pretty young teams.
We've got the first end starting now with black pointing out. Lovely line, a little heavy perhaps.
Maybe a sign of early nerves. It's pretty tense out there. These players know each other very well. They are composite teams from different clubs, and so in fact we have players opposing their own club members. So they do know each other very well, and I think there'll be a lot of care taken with many of these shots.
Oh, that's a nice ball. It is sitting behind, but it's very close to the kosh from this angle.
Johnston, who is a fantastic shooter, steps up early in the piece. They're going to take an aggressive stance.
And he hits. Lovely shot.
Johnston is probably the most successful player in Victoria, has been over the last few years, winning many tournaments. He's a really consistent shooter, has a rapid fire style, aggressive.
Oh, and that's a nice reply. Red team now, again with the holding ball. That one's gone out wide.
Playing surface is very dry, and that makes it roll a little bit faster. And both teams starting off with balls behind. It's not what they want, but they'll get used to the piece, and I think we'll see that change.
Nice high looping ball.
It's a good ball in front, and as did Team Cliff. May Ratana stepping up early to shoot.
Shot's a little too much energy, just slightly over the top.
Easy piece. Don't complicate the shooting. Come on, relax.
Confident enough to try again.
Doesn't quite go as planned.
One to the left, one to the right. Frederick also goes a bit long. Only just missed the jack. Could easily have taken it with that ball.
Oh, he fixes his ways with that last ball.
He certainly did. Frederick Venkatasamy is a really fantastic middleman. He can point, he can shoot.
Unfortunately, the wrong ball there. Just knocked his teammate out of the head. And that one's gone past as well. So red team, first score on the board with 3 points.
Dennis Masson was a little bit disappointed with that shot. We'd like to thank Hip Pocket Workwear for sponsoring the broadcast this year. We couldn't have put this together without their support. If you need work or safety equipment that doesn't break your hip pocket, head to Hip Pocket Workwear. So having won the end, of course, the red team have the opportunity to throw the jack. Gives them the advantage also of throwing the first bull and trying to establish a strategic point to build the end upon.
That's a reasonable starting ball. Still behind, which is interesting to see.
But very straight.
Very straight, close, but the front is still open for a good point in. It's a face of concentration. And that concentration pays off.
A good ball.
Nice and easy. I think a car is coming. Come on.
May stepping back up to shoot.
I want to see a car over there. Come on. Alex.
And she does it. Nicely tipped that one out.
Probably not as clean as she would have liked, but did the job and puts the onus on the black team, Team Cliff, to put a ball in closer to the jack, take the point.
And he's done it again. Or has he? I thought he had it, but it looks like it may have just rolled out.
I think for a split second he may have done, but yeah, just continued to roll and dribble across to the right, his right.
So close.
Team Cliff are so called as a memoriam to Clifford Edouard, a fantastic player, a lovely guy, a very successful player who passed away recently, and a tribute to him.
Lovely ball from Dennis there. Looked very relaxed, nice high looping shot. Rolled in next to the kosh.
Hey, come on, sister. Come on. Nothing to worry about.
Another opportunity for May Ratana to shoot.
Good.
Shoots and hits, but it unfortunately knocks the back ball out as well.
It's important in a game like this for the shooter to shoot. Nothing breaks your rhythm more than having to point, perhaps because your teammates have either failed to get their balls in close or the opposition have shot them out. The shooter wants to shoot all of their balls, every end, get a rhythm.
Oh, and it goes through. And Frederick follows the same path.
There's a saying in Petanque, it is a boule de vent, c'est a boule d'argent. Of course that's French, but it basically means a ball in front is a silver ball.
And that's another one out the back.
The ball in front allows the team to defend that ball, dictate the play to a certain extent. It's a distraction for the opposition, and it's something that can be pushed by either team, and of course that can be a bad thing if it's not your ball, and a good thing if it is yours.
The umpire's been called in to measure. Clearly not measuring the holding ball. I think this is a measure for which ball's holding second. And possibly third as well. And this, of course, will dictate how the black team plays their next two balls.
There's plenty of space, but as we've seen, the pitch is rolling reasonably quickly. Not difficult to go too long, and they will be very cautious about moving the jack accidentally.
Nice line, but I think it may have pulled up short. A little bit hard to tell from this angle whether that's in the mix or not at this point.
That fear of moving the jack may have introduced a little bit too much caution.
And perhaps a little over adjustment seeing all those ball go past.
Keston Sumari comes and has a look at the piste, smooths out a patch, which you're allowed to do. One patch.
And then uses it beautifully. Lovely point right in. So I believe that will be 3 points for the black team, bringing them up back to bull even score.
Yeah, a good thing to do early. Giving away 3 points on the first end is never ideal, but if you can pull back 3 points immediately, that's a good thing. Gives you some confidence, prevents the other team from perhaps gaining too much strength. So 3-3 after 2 ends.
This broadcast couldn't have been put together without the generous support of the Petanque Federation of Australia. Thank you for putting on such a great event and putting together a competition we can all be proud of.
So the jack's been thrown. There's a query as to the length. Of course, the jack, when it's thrown for the first end, must be between 6 and 10 metres to be a legal distance. If it is not between those two lengths, the opposition team then gets to pick up the jack and move it to a spot to their liking. They do not have to throw it, they just pick it up and position it. And of course, the position of the jack is a fairly critical component of a team's tactics. They may prefer to play long or short. They may play to their strengths or the other team's weaknesses.
As we can see here, the red team have chosen to take the jack in a completely different direction and also at a shorter distance, which is quite clever strategically because the aim is to not put the jack where the original team wanted it.
Interesting too that they've gone diagonal. That can be another factor that affects players. There are many players who do like to play up and down the piste, to use the sidelines and borders as reference points.
Well, the red team strategy seems to have paid off with Sebastian going a little long on that first point out. Red team has an opportunity here to get one in nice and close up front. Which they do. Still a little behind, but only just, and that's a nice ball.
Sebastien Edouard, aka Papa. He's a fairly recent new dad, and obviously proud of that.
And that shot does a little bit of movement, but doesn't quite do the job that they would have been hoping for.
It's an interesting piece because it does look as if shooting with a lower angle and shooting a bit short, the ball is likely to stay low. But there's a bit more bounce in it, perhaps, than people realise.
Another one out the back there.
Again, another nickname on clear display on the back of Dennis Masson's shirt, and I think that's fairly self-explanatory.
That looked like a pretty good point.
Beef brings home the bacon.
Very good. That's definitely given the red team something to think about. Oh, Nubish does a nice little knock on that ball. Not quite enough to get it out of there.
I think the option was there to try and move the ball sufficiently to not dislodge the jack, but to give May an open shot.
Which she takes and hits. That was close, but just tipped out to the right side.
Had it rested on that ball or even touched slightly to the left, it would have been a very good effort. But we're talking fine margins here.
Thought that was going to be spot on, and then it just rolled back that little bit further. So May will be wanting to take that second ball out to give them more space to point in. Ooh, and she does, but there's a lot of movement down there. She's happy though, so it must have gone in their way. We'll see what happens at the end of this round.
2 balls went, and one of them was her own team's and the other was from Team Cliff. But either way, there's plenty of space for a player of Freddie's capabilities to score some points.
It looks like he has with that one. Of course, different angles always look like different balls are holding. That one's just rolled through. And it looks like they're holding 2 there. So we've had interesting back and forth so far. The red team back in the lead, 3-5.
And the score is mounting reasonably quickly, because we're not having 1-point ends at the moment.
Nice slow-mo shot of May in action there.
A lovely release. Wrist comes right through and unwinds, and it's a classic technique that she learned from her mother, who is also a Cambodian international and a coach who has as well as coaching extensively in Cambodia, has done a number of stints in Australia and coached players and coached coaches.
First ball's out on the next end. Again behind. We've seen a little bit of that in this game so far. And part of that will be, as Gary mentioned, the fact that the piste is dry, so it is quite fast.
There's also an element of tension in that particular task because nobody wants to be embarrassingly short, and so there is a tendency to not be short, and that can sometimes mean players go a little bit firmer or a little bit further and go past the jack.
And here we have an example of the opposite. So we've got one long, one short.
Typically, if you asked a shooter, what would you prefer? They would nearly always say a ball in front where they can shoot the opposition ball with less concern about an unfortunate ricochet hitting your own team's ball behind. But that one's just a little bit too far.
That one's not, though. Spot on. What a point.
The possibility here, of course, is if May shoots a bit short, the jack could go, and then that could make a significant change.
Well, the jack did go. Yeah, I think you predicted that, but it didn't go too far.
Change was less significant than it could have been. But there is a bit more room. Frederick Venkatasamy taking away one of the signs. I suggest that Nuvish found it a little bit distracting. The situation hasn't changed, and May Ratana steps up again.
And this time she does clear it. That's a nice point in. Still probably a little further than he would have liked if given the option, but it's a solid point. Forcing the red team to step up and play.
So 3 balls for the black team, 2 for the red. Black holding the point.
Oh, lovely point. Throwing it back to the men in black. And there goes the kosh.
Indeed, again. Frederick and Jessen are regular partners together as in doubles competitions. They have a phenomenal record of success, and they'll know each other's games very, very well.
With only one bull left to play, this will need to be a good point. And it is.
So considering the possibilities here, Team Cliff have the second ball, but and could shoot, but clearly feel that there's enough room to point in and
That one hasn't quite made it.
so perhaps now Jessen Sumuri will consider shooting, potentially for 2, stay for 3.
And he misses. So that's another point for the red team, taking the score to 3-6.
So there's potential there to take the lead, possibly draw level, but that didn't happen. And again, another throwing the jack diagonally.
Let's another look at that shot from earlier. That took the kosh to completely change the game.
We'd like to thank Hip Pocket Workwear for sponsoring the broadcast this year. We couldn't have put this together without their support. If you need work or safety equipment that doesn't break your hip pocket, head to Hip Pocket Workwear.
Another long point.
And as always, Nuvish looking very relaxed, as he does off the piste as well.
Black team think they have it. Red team will go in and check that. The balls next to each other.
The umpire has been called. In a final such as this, any particularly close call does require the umpire to come in. Neither team would like to be the one that accidentally nudges a ball while they're doing it. So always best to get in the third party, the adjudicator.
And we can see in this case the red team were right to call in the umpire as they were still holding. Oh, but not anymore.
And again, Mayratana steps into the circle to do what she does best.
And she does it. That's a big smile. Clearly happy with that shot.
And that sideways angle really showed what a nice arc or flight that she achieves with the ball. Rising to at least around about head height. Doesn't throw hard and hits often.
A little bit short on that one. It is in front, but possibly a little further in front than they would have wanted. And his second ball meeting a similar fate.
The umpire being called again. It's not always easy to tell who has the point from up here on the commentator's box. And clearly, even at ground level, there is definite cause for doubt, and the umpire is called again. And in fact, two, the umpire's assistant on the longer distances. You need somebody to hold one end of the tape up to the centre of the ball.
And it is that back ball still holding. It does look a little bit like Dennis has created a doorway. If they can point through the middle. Just like that. Perfect example. And that is a lovely point.
Justin doesn't dwell on contemplating too deeply what he's going to do. He comes into the circle with a great deal of purpose. It's fairly clear what he needs to do, and he doesn't spend a whole lot of time.
Oh, and May takes a shot and misses this time. Second shot also doesn't manage to find its target. little bit of discussion. They know the black team still have a ball to come. So they'll be negotiating on whether they should be playing defensively at this point. That one came out wide.
3 points is a handy lead, but it's always good to turn the screw. They won't want to give Team Cliff too much of a look in.
So one ball left to play. Nudges in. And it looks like he's added that one into the score for this end.
The big man goes and adds the score. The Petanque Federation of Australia made a great decision to bring this competition to Adelaide. It's a fantastic setup. The weather's been amazing. Not always the case for the Easter Carnivals, but fortunately Adelaide has really turned on some fabulous weather, and some of our interstate friends have been incredibly appreciative of that.
The score now sitting at 6 across. It's a very tight game. And that point's a lovely way to start out this end.
So as the French would say, 6 partout, 6 all.
Another good shot from May.
And the bonus being her shot stayed close. She not only removed the point that the opposition had, her ball stayed and took the point. It's almost a bonus, really.
Oh, and there's Sebastian saying, okay, do it again. What have you got? Lovely point. And that will bring May back into the circle.
For Sebastian and Dennis, this is their third final in 3 years. They won it last year.
And May saying, all right, I'll do it again. Great play by both teams.
So the gauntlet has been thrown down.
Some beautiful pointing from the men in black. A lot of back and forth in this end. It's good to see. Unfortunate miss there with that shot.
Come on, bro.
The jack could easily have moved then, which would have really changed things.
Second one's gone over the top as well.
You got the impression with that arc that he really wanted to hit the ball on the full, try and achieve carreau, take the point, and just over the top. It's very warm here today. You can see the crowd all packed in under the shade.
Couple of bull in front to try and block the path. See what the black team can do. They've still got 3 bull to come.
I'm sure they'd love to get a bit of a score here to take the lead and nudge more pressure on their opponents.
Well, that'll help.
Certainly will. They've shown great resilience in this tournament. At one point in the qualifying rounds, they were in jeopardy of not even qualifying to the knockout stage, but they managed to get it together in the final game and win sufficiently well to qualify, and since then they've played some very strong teams and
look at that
they've come out on top.
Lovely point there. And there's consistency for you.
Yes, they've come from behind and now taken a 3-point lead. I dare say they'll have the bit between their teeth. They are the holders. They will be keen to make it 2 in a row. And of course, for Sebastian and Dennis, it would be 3 in a row.
Another long kosh throw, requiring measurement.
So it's fairly obvious that Team Cliff are looking to play longer ends and pushing it to the limit, try and get that right up to the 10-metre mark, just below. And the red team more comfortable with shorter ends and often choosing the diagonal.
Which they're doing again.
They seem to like that position, don't they?
Well, it worked for them last time, so it's probably worth giving it another crack. But the black team may have learned a thing or two. It's a nice point to start things off. The red team changing their order of play. It's gone a little long.
It's an interesting move. I wonder whether they're going to take a more aggressive posture. Frederick missed a few shots. Maybe he just...
See what, May's not missing any, or not
Exactly.
missing many at all. That's a lovely shot there. And again, she stayed in the head. Nice point.
A useful ball, but an opportunity for May to shoot again, hopefully stay, really start to apply some pressure.
And she does it. I was waiting to see what happened there, but it seems that one's a little too short.
Doesn't look too thrilled.
The difficulty of triples, of course, is that you only have the 2 ball to play.
Absolutely.
Nice tap on that front ball. Has it paid off? Yes, it has.
Can sometimes be fraught when you try to push a ball in the front. It's fantastic when it comes off, but if you miss, you may end up going too long. But he seemed pretty confident on that one.
Nuvish not managing to hit with that shot.
Dropped short. Well, if he was intending to hit the front one with the hope of hitting both on a ricochet, didn't quite come off.
Tips it, but it stays in.
So, an opportunity for Sumari to increase the score. Put a bit more pressure. Looks like he's done it.
He has. So that'll bring the score up to 11-6. Definitely putting the pressure on that red team.
Well, the final score to win the game of 13. They are now in a very strong position. But again, these are experienced players. I don't think Venkatasamy or Leiratana or Nuvishachima will be overly phased, maybe slightly concerned, but they know that they've got the ability to come back, take the lead and win. It's not a major gap. They've just got to be conscious of the fact that victory is relatively close.
Reasonable point. A little bit of space still there. And there's the answer.
That's an excellent ball.
There's the ball in front that we've been waiting for.
And it's important for Jason Sumari to remove this. Don't allow the opposition to build an end around it.
Tap on the kosh.
Not what he wanted, but space has now been created, so opportunity to come back and take the initiative.
Oh, nice point in. And that's done the trick.
And Leiratana steps up again. She's really been starting to get on a bit of a roll with the shooting.
And that's what she wanted.
And that beaming smile. Clearly happy. A good reply.
Not so happy with that one.
Not at all.
Come on, Freddie. Come on, Pop.
That's brought them back to bull even now.
That's the 12th point on the ground. So they do need to be cautious here.
Quite a way in front. They really need to close that gap, or this could be all over.
Yes. 1 ball left as opposed to 2. And the team with 2 currently has the ball on the ground.
It's a nice ball in front.
I think they'll be sensing victory at this point. They need one more point to win the game, and they've got 2 balls to do it. That said, it brings its own pressure.
That's not going to be the ball to do it. They do have another chance.
There's enough room to get in, but from where Jason Sumri is standing, the left side looks reasonably blocked, and he is a left-hander, so he needs to bring it in.
Hasn't made it past that front ball. So that'll be
The dreaded
12-6, the dreaded 12. Let's see what they can do with this.
For those of you unfamiliar with Petanque folklore, there is a dread of being caught on 12 points, particularly when you had enough balls in the hand to finish the game. I think you referred to it as the sticky 12.
Sticky 12s.
So
I think we've all been caught on 12 at some point.
there's been some astonishing comebacks, like even from things like 12-1, 12-0. And it's we all know it's nonsense, but it plays on your mind.
That's pulled up short. He's not looking happy with that first point out.
Not at all. And the red team have reverted to their previous arrangement, with Nuvish pointing first again. And justifies the change.
That's a beautiful point. It's exactly what they need at this point. They just need something in and in close. They really need to keep the pressure on the black team and keep their heads in the game.
a little bit unlucky there. Oh,
No, he hit.
it was a carrow. It was such an on-the-spot replacement that it fooled me there for a minute.
That was so clean.
Yes, indeed. He struck the ball. The other ball went. His ball stayed right on the spot. A shot like that is a hammer blow. You are so comfortable with the point you've put in, and for that to happen at the score level it is, I think the red team will be asking, is this our day? And at this point in time, there'd be a nagging voice in the back of your head possibly saying no. But it's not over yet.
And he's got it.
It's a bit of a let-off for the red team.
They really needed that. They needed that miss.
So 3 balls each. That's a fine ball.
Straight as a die.
The onus on May Ratana to remove that ball.
Oh, and she
And
does.
she's done it.
She's done it, and she's done it clean as well.
Took the ball away from the jack. Did not accidentally hit her own ball.
No collateral damage.
Exactly.
Through the middle, a little push on the kosh.
Well, opportunity knocked.
She's done it.
Sorry for that, but we'll take it. We say sorry for it, but we'll take it. What a shot. Trick shot. Trick shot.
This is a very tense end. 1 ball left each. Only 1 point needed for the whole game to be over.
And clearly, the previous end, when they could have finished, will be preying on his mind.
It's pulled up short.
It at least looks in front, but yes, he would not have been wanting that. So the umpire called again. And for those of you unfamiliar with French, you'll see on the back of the shirt is the word arbitre, which is what the French call an umpire. It's obviously where our word arbiter comes from, and that's exactly what their role is to do. And the initials are those of the International Petanque Federation, which, needless to say, is based on the full French name, abbreviated to acronyms.
That's a nice ball. I believe that measure was to see which ball was holding third. Such a great shot. Thank you to the South Australian Petanque League for their support of the 2021 National Petanque Championships and for bringing this fantastic event into South Australia.
Generally plays mixed doubles with Jess and Sumari, a very strong team.
They have an opportunity now with the score at 12-7 to make their comeback.
It's going to require some very good play and strong discipline. They can't afford any really loose balls. They can't rely on mistakes being made by Team Cliff, although that's not to say it couldn't happen, but very experienced campaigners. And they'll be looking to try and close the game out as soon as possible. They don't want this lead to be slowly nibbled away.
And of course, play changes when your opposition's on 12. It's close. It's a little bit of deliberation happening here.
It's interesting that for those of you watching, that the other team stays well away from adjudicating on the end. They leave it to the team that threw the last ball to have a look, make a decision, and then they are invited in to see if they agree or disagree. And sometimes when it's so close, the umpire gets called, as has happened on this occasion. And the decision is that it's a red ball, black to play.
Not anymore.
That's a fantastic shot.
Yeah, nicely done. Pushing forward. The pressure's back on the red team.
So it's 2 on the ground.
Oh, not anymore. Lovely shot by May. Got the push on the kosh. And I believe she's holding. Yet again.
Yes, that was a crucial crucial shot. With 2 on the ground, they were in trouble. Cochinet is close to the string, which adds another layer of complexity to the situation.
It looks like they're asking for a measure.
It can't be seen, but I'm suspecting that there is a ball just to the right of what we can see that was measured. And the decision is red to play.
Well, I've been proven wrong.
He's done very well.
That's a nice ball. Of course, as you were saying, with the cosh close to the sideline, it can be easy for balls to go out of play. That's not what they want at this point of the game. It's not what they want ever, but especially not at this point of the game.
And the last thing you want to be saying to yourself is, don't cross the string, don't cross the string.
And I think that one crossed the string.
It's very difficult because the inclination is you do want to take the point. And to push it to get close, sometimes
You need to flirt with danger.
you do need to flirt with danger.
That one has stayed in. But it's still the back ball that has it.
So again, the only left-hander in the game. Could be to his advantage if he points. But not on this occasion.
He gave that front ball a little tap. Is it enough? That's the question.
They're immediately calling the umpire, I think. And then you see how close it is to the string.
But as long as some part of the ball is on the string, it is still considered to be in the game.
Johnston feels he has to play.
And that was the right feeling.
So 1 ball to 3. A very dangerous position for the jack.
He's left it in front.
I doubt he had a feeling then to take too many risks after crossing the string on the previous throw. Erred on the side of caution.
Bit of a damage limitation. Looks like it has given the red team something to think about.
Definitely not easy, but a fantastic opportunity to close the gap.
May looked quite eager about this shot.
Quick conference, perhaps a change of mind. Bang, she says, let me shoot. Bearing in mind that the black team only need one to win, so they can't really afford a mistake.
And it looks a lot to me like that might have been the right decision. They did switch, they didn't shoot, they pointed in. I think it may have paid off. Or maybe not.
I suspect the ball pushed was not one of theirs. It would certainly help if we had coloured balls in this game, wouldn't it?
It would.
That's exactly what happened, I think. Push ball was moved up and it lessened the possibility of scoring points.
We'd like to thank Hip Pocket Workwear for sponsoring the broadcast this year. We couldn't have put this together without their support. If you need work or safety equipment that doesn't break your hip pocket, head to Hip Pocket Workwear.
And the red team ended up with 2 points.
A very, very handy and timely 2 points. That closes the gap. This sticky 12 will be working on the minds of those players in Team Cliff.
The score now 12-9. Bit of a nail biter.
The crowd are being treated to a high quality match. Lots of tension and potentially some way to go.
Looks like that point went a little further than he wanted, but it is holding. That's gone through. So perhaps the pressure getting to both teams here.
Well, they are certainly flirting with danger at this point.
That's the one.
A good recovery.
Yeah, that's the one they needed.
Still plenty of room.
Nice point.
Fabulous ball under pressure. And here she comes again. She's been on a real roll shooting-wise in the last few ends. And I wouldn't be betting against her at this point in time.
Oh, she's given it a tap, but it's not quite enough.
Clearly not happy with herself. Hands on hips.
Well, they know, don't they? They know that this is do or die. That they really need to pull this end in.
They've got 2 balls. Team Cliff have got 4 balls. They need 1 point.
And that's a beautiful point.
Jess and Sumri's typical fast walk to the circle. And he misses. Sweeps a bit of dirt in his hand. Probably dry the sweat. And that's not a sight you'll see very often. 2 misses in the one end. The game very much in the balance.
I think that's the first shot we've seen from
I believe so.
Dennis in this game.
And as we said before, never easy if you've been pointing all day and then you suddenly have to turn around and take a shot. It's
And even harder when the whole game rests on that one
Indeed.
shot.
They'll have a little bit of luxury in that they are a number of points ahead, but that sticky 12 will be playing on their mind without doubt. Drops to his knees.
I'm dying to know what happened down that end.
Not easy to tell from up here in the commentary box. Clearly she's ready to shoot again. Oh. So moved the jack, but didn't change anything.
So that was another point for the red team there. They're scrabbling their way back. It's very impressive play.
It's particularly good because the first couple of balls they did on that end were very loose, and they really needed to tighten things up. But I'd say Jason Summery would be a bit disappointed with himself. He's normally an absolute model of consistency.
With the score at 12-10 now, it really is anyone's game.
And if momentum is of any value, I would say that the red team have that.
It's a reasonable point to start. That is just poetry.
That's a response. That's a definite response.
Come on, Mehmet. Hi, mate.
A carrow here would be like a dagger to the heart.
That could be a costly miss.
Come on. Come on, sister.
And she hits. You've got to give her credit. This woman, under pressure, brings it.
Yep, she backs herself. You could see on previous ends she was clearly intent on shooting and had to be dissuaded. But that's what we want to see. So 2 points on the ground now for the red team.
It's a good point. Is it there?
Clearly not obvious to the players. Having a bit of a look, bit of a think. But the conclusion is
No. I don't know about you, but my palms are sweating on their behalf. This is definitely the kind of final you want to be watching.
absolutely. And playing, should you get that opportunity.
Just through. I think that little tip on the kosh may have made the difference. Oh, and that's a beautiful point in. You've got to hand it to them. Both teams playing incredibly well under this amount of pressure.
Yes, that was a really impressive ball. It does force Jason Summery to shoot. It's close enough to the jack that anything's possible.
Not the result they were after.
Missed that by a surprising margin, really.
A little toe tap, a reminder of what he wants to hit. And he's got
done
it.
well. In the situation he was in, to miss the first ball and then back himself again, there was an enormous amount of pressure there. Not only from the point of view of the scoreline, but just that internal pressure, the pride of a man who shoots. Nobody likes to miss, and he definitely did not want to miss twice.
That's 3. One ball each. Game on the ground. He's got it. He has got it.
Well, there was only one outcome there
Ooh.
that was required, and that was take the point. If he hadn't taken the point, the game was all over. So that was enormous pressure. Shot, he stayed close, but not close
But I-
enough.
Yeah, well. This is incredible.
Well, I think the South Australian Petanque League will be very happy that they brought or contributed to bringing this competition to Novar's Petanque Club here in Adelaide. There's been some cracking games, some cracking finals. I think spectators have been treated to some really top quality petanque, and now they are really witnessing a nail-biting final in the Open Triples Principale.
So the red team have clawed back another point to add to their score. This is intense. Around 5 ends back, they were 6 points down. And they have not let that get to them. Looks like a short point there. Black team's sitting on 12. An extended period now. They'll be wanting just to wrap this up and go home.
As much as you try not to, you can't help but think of missed opportunities, and particularly when you're in a position where you really have to pull out a pressure ball, the what-ifs start coming thick and fast. Doesn't look ecstatic.
It's not what he wanted. He's taken the point, but he obviously doesn't feel it's strong enough.
It's always interesting. I do sort of tell people, particularly newer players, don't be overly disappointed sometimes with the ball until you see what the opposition does. And although he was disappointed with that, maybe it wasn't such a bad ball after all. Retained the point. And that looks good.
That does look good.
By my reckoning, that's 5 misses in a row, and that is most unlike Jesson Sumri.
I think that's a clear sign that the pressure is having an effect, understandably.
And this time,
He hits. No doubt with a sigh of relief.
Indeed, but he'll be wondering whether it's just too late. And knowing Jesson, he would have been really looking to get a carrow, a real game-changing shot.
And he's put it back in. That is a beautiful point.
And there's a difference in the way they're walking now. It's not a trudge. There's a bounce in their step. I definitely feel that they are in with a big chance now. It's 2 balls each, but momentum
Is that
has
the umpire
certainly been
called in?
carrying them along.
Is that a measure for second that we're seeing? So is that a decision about whether to take a shot?
Not clear to me. Having shot the ball out, I suspect that that's exactly what was happening.
I think that tap on the ball in front slowed his ball, so it didn't quite get to where he wanted it. That is a nice tap in.
Well, they're out of balls. The red team has 2. The red team has the point, or at least we assume so. Hard to tell from here. And it could be wrapped up here and now. Okay. Well, I was wrong. Black team did in fact have the point, and Meiritana had to surgically remove that point. 1 ball and presumably 1 on the ground, although the umpire's been called again.
Here we've got the replay of that shot, coming and knocking that one out beautifully.
Team Cliff looking slightly disconsolate on the sideline there.
So it's come down to this last ball.
Come on, sister, you can do it.
I think that's the first time we've seen her point in this game, is it not?
I think you could be right.
And you can see there from the
She's done
reaction
it.
of the red team, they have really turned this game around. An extraordinary comeback.
What a finale. You couldn't ask for a tighter, more tense, more exciting game than that.
A really fantastic comeback. And you can see the joy, the relief, and sadly for the black team, the disappointment. The game was theirs. It was almost in the bag. 12 points.
12
for
got them.
6, 7 ends perhaps. It just went on and on.
But that is certainly a fitting finale to a day at the Australian National Petanque Championships.